Rita's fork paused halfway to her lips as Trevor's phone buzzed right there on the table. The screen flashed with a text, a photo popping up that sucked the air straight out of her chest, a blurry shot of Trevor, her husband of 5 years, tangled up in a hotel bed with his secretary, Candace. That same Candace who'd been texting him work updates at midnight, who Rita had invited into their home, into their lives. All smiles and thank you so much for the opportunity. And here they were, sitting in the same overpriced restaurant where Trevor had proposed, his hand reaching for his wine glass. Smile just a little too rehearsed. Happy anniversary, baby, he said. Rita didn't answer. More photos rolled in. Trevor, shirtless. Candace in lingerie. Timestamp just 2 nights back right when Trevor swore he was away on business. Rita held up the phone, hands trembling. "Who is this woman?" she asked, keeping her voice steady even as she felt everything start to tilt. Trevor looked like he'd swallowed glass. Then, to her utter disbelief, he just laughed. "Look, Rita, I didn't want you to find out this way," he said, settling back like he was discussing a new niche marketing strategy. "But maybe it's for the best. Candace and I, it's real. Not like this fake marriage we've been pretending to have." The restaurant faded out. Rita felt like she was underwater, watching his mouth move, but barely hearing him as he said he'd already seen a lawyer, that the house could be hers for now, that he'd make sure she was taken care of. He slid a folder across the table, divorce papers already filled out and signed. The business, the house, their savings, even her car were all listed as his property. It was as if she'd never existed, except as a footnote in the spreadsheet of his life. Rita stared at the folder. "You already filed these?" she whispered. "It's not personal," Trevor said, shrugging like he'd just ordered the wrong appetizer. "Candace understands my work, my ambitions. She's young and exciting. She gets me." Rita glanced around at the laughing couples, the clink of glasses, the scent of grilled steak and expensive perfume. She'd spent years supporting his niche consulting business, hosting client dinners, sacrificing her own dreams so he could build his empire. "How long?" she asked, voice tight. He sighed, annoyed. 2 years, maybe 3. These things happen. Rita, we grew apart. You got comfortable. 3 years? Rita blinked. 3 years of pretending, of coming home to her every night, of acting like they were building something together. 3 years of lying to her face, celebrating anniversaries, planning trips, all the while building a life with someone else. She stood up, legs shaky. "I need the bathroom." In the mirror, Rita studied herself, 35, beautiful, successful, her dark skin glowing even under harsh bathroom lights. She looked like someone with her life together, but inside she felt hollowed out. Trevor expected her to fall apart, maybe even beg him for another chance. He'd mistaken her patience for weakness. By the time she walked back to the table, she'd made her decision. He was on the phone, telling Candace everything was going as planned, that Rita was taking it better than expected. Rita sat down and took a long sip of wine. "I'm not going to cause problems," she told him, her voice steady. "But I want my own lawyer." Trevor smirked. "Fine, but don't drag this out. Candace and I want to move on." She memorized the look on his face, the smug relief. The phone clutched tight in his hand, already making plans to erase her from his life. As he paid the bill and left, Rita sat in her car, letting the tears come, not just for what she'd lost, but for the woman she'd been, the one who believed marriage was a partnership. At home, the place looked the same, wedding photos on the mantle, her books mixed with his, coffee mug still in the sink. But Trevor's side of the closet was already empty. He'd been planning this for months. The anniversary gift she'd bought him, a vintage watch, was still wrapped on her dresser. He'd never even bothered to open it. Her phone rang. "Trevor, just so you know, Candace and I are going to the Bahamas next week. That should give you time to look at apartments. Apartments? Rita asked. Voice hoarse. You can't stay in the house forever. We're with you there. Candace doesn't need that stress. After he hung up, Rita made coffee and sat at his desk, staring at his computer. The password was their anniversary. Classic Trevor, always underestimating her. She started digging, finding emails, financial records, entire folders labeled personal. She printed everything. He hadn't just cheated, he'd been shifting assets, hiding money, planning his exit for years. By sunrise, she'd filled a box with emails, bank statements, property records, evidence of fraud, hidden offshore accounts, even a Miami condo she'd never heard about. She called a lawyer, Patricia Williams, who specialized in uncovering hidden assets. Bring everything, Patricia said. Don't tell your husband. Rita met with Patricia that afternoon, laying out every detail, the late-night emails, her $50, 000 investment in the business, the down payment on their house, the years spent managing his clients for free. Patricia read through the files, her expression darkening. He's not just leaving you, Rita. He's stealing from you. But we can fight this. The next weeks blurred lawyers, private investigators, a forensic accountant named Janet who traced $1, $7 million in hidden assets. Trevor called, furious. Why are you making this so complicated? Rita played along, acting confused. Meek, I just want to understand. Trevor, I gave up everything for you. He offered her $50, 000, and the car less than 2% of what he'd stashed away. That's very generous, Rita said, masking her disgust. In court, Patricia presented evidence of fraud offshore accounts, hidden properties, emails showing Candace's involvement. Judge Martinez was no nonsense. Mr. Coleman, this is one of the most egregious cases of marital fraud I've seen. She froze his assets, awarded Rita 70% of everything, and referred Trevor for criminal prosecution. Within days, Trevor's world collapsed. The FBI arrested him for running a Ponzi scheme through his business. Victims came forward, retirees, families who'd lost everything, people Trevor had lied to and robbed. Candace, blindsided by the revelations, showed up at Rita's door, an envelope of documents in hand. I didn't know, she whispered, but I want to help. Rita handed the evidence to Patricia, helping build the criminal case. When Mrs. Henderson, one of Trevor's victims, thanked her for fighting back, Rita realized her story could mean something. She used half her settlement to start the Coleman Foundation for Victims of Financial Fraud, determined to help others recover from the kind of betrayal she'd survived. 6 months after the divorce, Rita stood in her new office, watching sunlight fill the space she'd built for something good. Trevor was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. Candace, having testified against him, was rebuilding her own life. Rita's foundation helped dozens of families start again. Sitting in her cozy home, garden blooming outside, Rita finally felt free, not just from Trevor, but from the woman she used to be. She raised a glass to the future, knowing she'd built it herself. When a knock at the door brought another woman needing help, Rita opened her arms and invited her, and ready to keep fighting, not just for herself, but for everyone who'd ever been underestimated, overlooked, or left behind. Because this was her story now, and she was just getting started.